Hello once again. We finish off now the video series on health. We've talked about what's happened to our food and the nutrition in our food. We've talked about the increase in environmental challenges. We've talked about how that sets us up to suffer plagues and other things. We talked about the drugs, and then we talked about vaccinations. And we conclude by taking a look at our healthcare system. It's really, it's not health insurance, it's more like sickness insurance. You don't take advantage of it until you're sick, and it's insurance for when you get sick. The trouble is, you don't usually get well. You can stay on medication for 4 or 5 years, and when you quit, you still got the same problem. Because drugs can't address the cause of the problem, the root of the problem. They only deal with the systems, the symptoms, and you want to get beyond just the symptoms. You want to actually recover. I would presume. I'm discovering more and more Americans. That's what they're looking for. So let's take a look at our healthcare system, which is dominated and monopolized by big pharma, big pharmaceutical industry. By the way, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the word pharmaceutical comes from Greek, pharmakeia, which means, according to Webster's New 20th Century Dictionary Unabridged, 1978, it means witchcraft. If we go back to Noah Webster's, the American Dictionary of the English Language, 1828, pharmaceutical, again the Greek word for the practice of witchcraft. So the first and primary definition hasn't changed in 150 years. The reason we eat food is, well, it tastes good, but we eat food for nutrition because our bodies were built starting with one cell, sperm and an egg. It was built by nutrition. We don't get cancer because we're chemotherapy deficient. We need food for its nutritional value because the body, fearfully and wonderfully made, knows how to fix itself, knows how to function properly if it gets the building blocks necessary. The trouble is, in spite of spending twice as much money in our healthcare system as Switzerland, for example, which spends the most in the world, apart from the United States, the money we're spending is for drugs and drug research. And there's very little focus on nutrition. Most medical schools may have 1 or 2 electives, but if you ask your doctor, they've probably never taken a course, a single course, on how our body works, on nutrition. Consequently, back in the year 2000, the World Health Organization ranked the United States still #1 in the world with emergency room care, trauma care. If you get in a car accident, pray that you're in the United States. But 37th in the world when it comes to diseases, infectious diseases, degenerative diseases, autoimmune diseases, and genetic diseases. Well, presently we're ranked 72nd in the world. And most Americans can't name 71 other foreign countries, and we're 72nd. Now, people will tell you, perhaps, that the #1 killer of Americans is heart disease, with cancer right on its tail, if you don't count abortions. But they've just discovered, going to peer-reviewed medical journals, you see the different divisions of medicine don't necessarily talk with each other. The pediatricians don't necessarily talk with the surgeons, don't necessarily, they all have their own enclave. But their own journals now prove that the #1 killer of Americans is iatrogenic issues. Iatrogenic means medically induced. In other words, the very healthcare system in the United States today that's supposed to keep us well is responsible for more unnecessary deaths than anything else. Adverse drug reactions and medical errors, 420,000 deaths at a cost of $200 billion. Bed sores, 117,000 deaths, $55 billion. Infections, 88,000 deaths, $5 billion. Malnutrition, 108,800 deaths. This book, Drug-Induced Nutrient Depletion Handbook, documents when a person is given a drug, how that messes up the nutrients that the body needs to be healthy. And outpatients, 199,000 deaths, $77 billion. Unnecessary procedures, 37,136 deaths, $122 billion. Surgery-related deaths, 32,000 deaths, $9 billion. So the total is 999,936 deaths, almost a million unnecessary deaths a year at a cost of $468 billion. That's the equivalent of $132 people dying in 22 of these plane crashes. This is an Airbus 319, which holds 132 people. 22 of these planes crashing every day, in which case I'd walk or take a train. In 1973, doctors in Israel staged a month-long strike, and during that month, mortality fell by 50%. A couple of years later, a 2-month work stoppage by doctors in the Colombian capital Bogota led to a 35% decline in deaths. And during a work slowdown by doctors in Los Angeles, protesting against the sharp increase in premiums for liability insurance, the number of deaths fell 18%. Once doctors were back at work full-time, mortality immediately jumped back to previous levels. Every year, 1.2 million Britons are hospitalized as a result of improper medical care. In the United States, where 40,000 people are shot to death each year, the chance of getting killed by a doctor is 3 times greater than being killed by a gun. And every year, significantly more people die from an infection sustained while in the hospital that they didn't have when they entered the hospital than as a result of all traffic accidents. If that causes you to deal with stress, if you have anxiety of the brain, then consider what the doctors can't tell you. That there are things, not only vitamins and minerals, but antioxidants, glycoconjugates, etc., and principles of health, new principles of health that can make a huge difference. Let me give you the 9 new principles of health. Number 1, the human body is made out of food, air, and water. It can only assimilate natural products. Many of us become seriously ill because our American diets lack essentials. Clean air, pure water, 72 trace minerals, 26 vitamins, 3 fatty acids, 9 amino acids, and 8 glycoconjugates. They have to be consumed or we'll get sick. Proper rest, proper exercise, and the avoidance of toxins matter also. Principle number 2. Pharmaceutical drugs are not an alternative. We do not get cancer because we are chemotherapy deficient. Properly prescribed medication is one of the top killers of Americans. Drugs only mask symptoms, they don't deal with the cause. All drugs are toxic. Consequently, the World Health Organization, www.who.org, lists, as of 2006, the United States is 72nd in the world in dealing successfully with infectious, degenerative, autoimmune, and genetic diseases. In spite of spending twice as much money as other nations on health care, Americans are in much bigger trouble and getting sicker. Number 3, health begins on the cellular level. If our cells are healthy, we'll have healthy tissue, healthy organs, healthy systems, and finally healthy symptoms. Number 4, our cells, the good guys, are protected by our immune system. When functioning properly, our immune systems remove the bad guys. Number 5, if an immune system thinks good guys are bad guys, it may attack joints, connective tissue, nerves, the pancreas, and overreact to other harmless things like pollen. Autoimmune problems are not good. Number 6, if an autoimmune system thinks bad guys are good guys, it may ignore viral, bacterial, and other basic toxins that are invading, and that, of course, is not good either. This confusion is caused by a lack of 8 essential glycoconjugates, which comprise the letters of cellular alphabet. They sit like bumps on the surface of cells and convey messages, similar to how the blind read Braille. Principle number 8, money spent on medical treatment, organic foods or supplements, such as antioxidants, vitamins and minerals, etc., whether in herbal form or not, may be wasted unless the 8 glycoconjugates are present so that the body knows how to utilize all the stuff we're already buying and doing for it. And number 9, be sure to also consume glycoconjugates for proper cellular communication. Scientific American had an update on the food pyramid, and now indicates that the previous food pyramid was all wrong. No wonder we're fat and out of shape and unhealthy. They've come up with a new food pyramid, and what interests me is that they include this white bottle. They are now saying we cannot be healthy if we don't supplement with vitamins and minerals and other nutritional products. An article published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, states, quote, most people do not consume an optimal amount of all vitamins by diet alone. It appears prudent for all adults to take vitamin supplements, unquote. This was year 2002, Journal 287, parentheses 23, parentheses page 3, 3127 to 3129. An article by Lester Packer states, quote, controlling free radicals, antioxidants, influence how fast and how well we age. It is virtually impossible to get the optimal amount of antioxidants through food alone. We must supplement. This was in the Antioxidant Miracle, put lipoic acid, pycnogenol, and vitamin E and C to work for you, December 1999. So it's crucial to get proper nutrition. Americans consume 275 pounds of sugar per person annually. Only 1% of today's youth eat properly, according to the Journal of Pediatrics, and that was in 1992. 25% never eat vegetables, for example. You might think, well, I can't afford good nutrition. Well, granted, some people insure their car and their homes, which are replaceable. What are you doing to ensure your health and wellness? Don't you think that investing 15 cents an hour, that's $3.60 a day, into your personal health and longevity is immeasurably more important? Many people have substituted good nutrition for drugs because their medical insurance covers the cost of going to the doctor. But the Journal of American Medical Association, Dr. Pomerantz, MD, PhD, reviewed 39 different studies of adverse drug reactions in hospitals and came up with some alarming conclusions. According to his research, 2,216,000 hospital patients experienced severe adverse drug reactions, and 106,000 of them died from the reactions just in 1994. This astonishing number accounted for 4.6% of all recorded deaths in the United States that year. This makes drug reaction deaths the fourth leading cause of death in the country. When you go to the doctor, you have copay. Let's say you miss 3 days of work. There is a financial cost, and not just a physical cost, but a financial cost to going the medication route. And that money could be better spent, I suspect, on nutrition. Many people waste $3 to $5 a day on just drinks and snacks. And if you could reduce or eliminate these harmful foods, such as sodas, chips, candies, and pastries, smoking, liquor, that kind of stuff perhaps could be cut way back, and you'd have plenty of money to work to preserve your health. There's a huge markup on drugs. Celebrex, 100 milligrams. The consumer price for 100 tablets is $130.27, but the cost of the active ingredient is only 60 cents. That's a 21,712% markup. Claritin, 10 milligrams, 100 tablets. The consumer price is $215.17, but the cost of the active ingredient is 71 cents. That's a 30,306% markup. Lipitor, 20 milligrams, 100 tablets. Your price $272.37, but the cost of the active ingredient is $5.30. It's a 4,696% markup. Paxil is a 2,898% markup. Prozac is a 227,973% markup. 100 tablets cost you $247.47, but the cost of the active ingredient is only 11 cents. Xanax is a 569,958% markup. Zocor is a 4,059% markup, and Zoloft is an 11,821% markup. Even with generic drugs are marked up as much as 3,000%. If you're interested in good supplements, a couple things to remember. If on the bottle it says USP, which stands for United States Pharmacopoeia, that means those vitamins are synthetic, and you'll only get maybe 10% absorbed. A lot of them are made from coal tar, which is a toxic petrochemical, and may also contain multiple unknown ingredients such as lead and arsenic, especially if they come from China and other countries, as now the majority of vitamin A, E, and C come from China, and few or no inspections at all are made on the facilities concerning contamination of the end products. The large majority of mineral supplements in the market today are ground up rock. Even if it's nano molecules, rocks are still rocks. The ionic ones are just more finely ground. A study published in the Journal of Food Chemistry stated that, with the single exception of selenium, less than 10% of the synthetic minerals contained in the most popular brands of multivitamins are in soluble bioavailable form. So they're virtually worthless. And don't be fooled by the word natural. There's nothing more natural than rocks and dirt and petroleum, or arsenic. Simply put, while synthetic or lab-made chelated mineral salts, chelate is a Latin word for claw, like a lobster claw. And since if you eat dirt, you can't digest dirt. That's why we let the plants eat the dirt, and then we eat the plants, or we eat the cows that eat the plants. But we aren't supposed to eat the dirt. Very poor absorption. And so they thought, well, maybe we can increase absorption by binding with a beta bond the dirt to an amino acid, because the body will absorb an amino acid because it's used for making proteins and enzymes, that sort of thing. And but that didn't fool the body either. So the dirt's dirt. We're supposed to get it from our plants, from our food, pre-digested by the plant, like iron, from spinach rather than by chewing on a nail. And so synthetic or lab-made chelated mineral salts aren't a solution. Agnes Faye Morgan, PhD, reported in Science magazine that animals on a synthetic vitamin-enriched diet died before animals fed unprocessed diets. In summary, the use of synthetic vitamins jams cellular signals and stimulates false surges of energy. So the conclusion, we need nutrition. If we can't get it in our food, and we can't get it in most of the supplements, and if we're running into health issues, it becomes very important to find a supplement where you do get what you need. So welcome to the world of health and wellness.